Hello and welcome back. In this module, we are going to be talking about Claude Code, commands, and customization. Let's take a look at a few commands when using Claude Code. I'm going to open up the terminal by doing Ctrl J. I'm using a Windows PC. So if you're using the Mac OS, it's probably going to be Command J. Anyways, open up your terminal and you're going to have access to this interface. And we're gonna do a couple of things today. So what I want to do right now would be to get into Claude Code, and I'm gonna type Claude, and we're gonna be working on this project. This is a simple project, and we'll just learn about it in a little bit. So I'm gonna hit Claude and hit enter. And once we are there, we'll just let Claude tell us about what this project is about. I'm gonna collapse this just for a little bit, and let's see what's going on here. And I'm gonna do Ctrl B to open the Explorer and see if I actually do already have Claude.md here. If I do have that, I am gonna delete it. Quick way to find out will be to type Claude. Okay, it's not here, so that's fine. All right, so we're gonna close this and open this again. Okay, so just to understand what we're working on right now, this project, I'm just gonna ask Claude to tell us about these projects. So we're gonna say, give me a brief summary of this project. So Claude is gonna take a look at the entire code base and learn everything about the project and give us a brief summary about it. And you can see that it's already going through the entire thing. It's reading the readme file to get some information from that one, reading the package.json, and just checking through absolutely everything. You can see it's going through the page.tsx, reading that one, that's the root. And once it's done with everything, it's going to come up with a brief summary of what this is about. I could literally tell you right now what this project is about. So it's a side project I'm working on. And there I just got pre-built websites that any business can actually use. So you can go there and check the one that suits your niche and you could get it. All right, so that's pretty much about it. So let's see what Claude Code came up with. It says deploy faster website template marketplace is a Next.js based web application that serves as a marketplace for pre-built websites templates. The project helps users quickly launch professional websites without lengthy development cycles. Okay. And then over here we have key features. Okay, it just lists everything for you, and that's really good, very good. And it also tells you about a tech stack. The tech stack over here, you can see we're using Next.js 15, React 19, TypeScript, still in CSS, standard CMS for content management. That's headless CMS. We've got resend for email functionality, recharts for data visualization. Wonderful. Okay, so let's take a look at a few commands, because with those commands, we are going to be doing a lot of things. Okay, so whenever you do, and I hope this is actually zoomed in nicely, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I think that's too much. Let's come back out. All right, let's scroll all the way. Should I actually even zoom in a little bit more? Probably this is fine. Okay, so over here, once you type the /, this is gonna, you know what? I'll zoom in out a little bit. This is gonna show you a good list of all the commands there are. When using Claude Code. So here you can see add directory, you can see /agents, you can see clear, you can see compact, you can see config, you can see context, you can see doctor, exit, export, extra usage, and all of that. And that's wonderful, right? So if you ever wanted to go through something and you didn't quite know the exact command, but you wanted to utilize that, all you have to do would just be to hit the / and it's going to bring up all of these for you, and you can find the right one to work with. Okay, but something I want to show you is whenever you want to clear the conversation, like have some kind of complete conversation reset, you want to erase all context and history, you use /clear. Once you hit there, you can see it's gonna clear the conversation history and free up context. Okay, because you could be having long chats with Claude and just going into it, and the context becomes very wide. Then it's better for you to clear or compact. So if you don't want to clear it, you can use compact, and compact clears conversation but preserves a summary of completed work. So this is recommended for long sessions. Alright, so if you don't want it to have that lengthy context frame, but you still want to clear a large chunk and give, free up some space, so you can use compact. It's, as you see here, it's gonna clear the conversation history but keep a summary in context. Alright, and that's very good. So that's for clear, that does that, and then for compact, that does that. Okay, so when we want to start building something, we're going to utilize all of these. I'm just going to go through a couple more other commands for you to know. If you're working on something, okay, and you wanted to, let's say, stop what you were working on, right? Let's say I'm going to teach you something now without going to the browser, Google Chrome or whichever browser you use, and you go over here, you go to settings and you go to usage. It's wonderful. You can see the usage currently. Without doing this, something else that you can do right here in the terminal, all you gotta do would be to say /usage, okay, and it's gonna hit this, right? And now you can see the same thing over here. If you wanted to exit out of this place, you can do escape. And escape as well is also used when you want to interrupt Claude mid-process when it's doing something wrong, or not necessarily wrong. If you want to interrupt it, whether or not it's doing something right or wrong, you can do that using the escape key. So it might just be coding, doing a lot of stuff for you and whatnot. If you ever want to interrupt it, just hit the escape key and that's it. Alright, another thing nice to learn would be /init. And what is this about? I'm just going to show you right here, /init. It initializes a new Claude.md file with code-based documentation. Okay, it's Claude's memory for this specific project. It lives in the root directory and it serves as Claude's memory. Okay, so I'm gonna want to do it here, but this is my main branch, and I think what I'm actually doing here, I would like to push it to my repository, but I'm not gonna do that right now. So I'm gonna switch to a different branch, okay, and we're gonna go from there. But you know what? I think we should just go through a couple more commands, and very soon we're gonna get into doing wonderful things with everything we learned so far. Okay, so that's for that one. And once you do the /init, we are gonna do these very soon. Just let me walk you through them. Once you do /init, it's gonna generate for you a Claude.md file, which serves as the memory of Claude Code. Okay, something else interesting, because we're gonna later on install some, or probably one for this course, one MCP server. Okay, and if we wanted to see the MCP servers we already have, we just hit /MCP and hit enter. So I could just hit enter right now. We have the playwright server that we're gonna install later. So I'm gonna escape out of here. Okay, that's fine. Then something else that's nice to learn is how to use the @ So if you want to reference a file or folder, if you do, just hit the @ symbol and you can reference any file, let's say page.tsx. Once you start typing the name of the file, it's gonna bring up suggestions for you, and you can use your arrow key to go to whichever one you want to go to, right? And if it's a folder, it's the same thing, right? So I'm just gonna see a couple folders here. Let's say I want to go to reference the studio folder over there. Just gonna do this, and I'm gonna say studio. You see that? So if you type something about it, you're gonna see a couple suggestions, and you can just go to the right one you want to reference. Okay, so that's for referencing files and folders. Okay, and you can reference multiple files and folders in the same prompt. Okay, and that's very, very effective. It's one of the best ways to literally tell Claude, like to prompt Claude with specificity. That's very important. For the rest of the commands and even working on the commands we've learned so far, I'm gonna want us to start doing something, and we're gonna switch over to a different branch. So currently right now, I could go open a different terminal here and write code for myself to view all the branches currently for this project, but I can just ask Claude how many. Okay, I could just say list the branches we have here, and it's gonna do that. All right, and there it does, git branch all, and now we see we do have just the main branch right now. So I'm gonna say create a new branch, called, let's say, front end features, and check out to it. So Claude is going to be able to do that. All right, so right now it's asking me, it wants to run this command and it's asking me if it can actually do that. I'm just gonna say yes, and don't ask again for git checkout commands in this project. Okay, because I know that we might want to do it again, use that git checkout command. So I don't want it asking me all of the time, So it's done, successful. And if you even want to confirm, we for sure here, okay. If you wanted to open, let's say we opened up another terminal over here, you're gonna see that we're here right now, front end features. Okay. So now we're here. The first thing we want to do is something is saying not saved here. Or it should be this file. Why isn't it saved? Okay, saved. So what we're gonna do here, we're gonna do /init to initialize the Claude.md file, which is literally the memory. Hit enter. So it's gonna analyze the code base and prepare that Claude.md file. And we can also append and add to that file. Once it's done creating it, we're gonna go through it and check out everything that's there. And we can also add more instructions. So it's literally Claude's memory. And if you want to have certain things to be adhered to by Claude Code, whenever it's doing anything, whatever it's doing, you want to make sure that these rows, these instructions are adhered to. Then you add all of those into the Claude.md file, because that's literally memory. Whenever Claude wants to do something, it's gonna look through that file and obey all of the commands over there. For instance, certain AI platforms literally append comments a lot. They write a lot of comments. If you don't want that, you could say, hey, I don't want you writing comments a lot. You could use them sparingly or only when the context, or rather the code block really needs, you know, much explaining or something like that. All right. And so on and so forth. Yeah, you could do all of that right now. It's just going at it, and once it's done with that, we're gonna be able to take a look at what it's done so far. Alright, so Claude had to read literally the entire code base, and now it says, now I have a good understanding of the code base. Let me go ahead, or rather let me create the Claude.md file. Now it's done it, and it's saying, do you want me to create this? And I could go through everything here. I'm just gonna say yes. I'm just gonna use this yes, allow all edits during this session. Hit enter, and there we go. Doodling, you know, Claude actually has this thing. Whenever it's doing something, it just generates interesting words to tell you that it's actually doing something. They're very funny. Whenever you just look at them, you just, you know, you could smile a little bit. All right, so here we are. This is what we have. I could literally go through here about what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna collapse this, and I'm gonna open up Claude.md file, which is that one there. And if I open up the Explorer, we're gonna have it over here as well. So just open that up, and I'm gonna collapse it back, just have some room. And we could go through everything here. So here we can see this file provides guidance to Claude Code, right? And you could read everything there. So first, a brief overview of the project, and we have some commands over here and all of these interesting stuff, right? Just some interesting things that Claude needs to know about this project. You know, where stuff are, you know, routing for the studio, because, you know, Sanity, the headless CMS, has a studio portal and stuff like that. All of this interesting stuff. Okay, so what I'm gonna do would be, so let's scroll. I wanna add something, because I've actually realized that sometimes the comments can be a lot, right? So I'm gonna append to this, and if I want to append, like add something here on the fly, I'm gonna do hashtag, that's to add to memory, and I'm gonna say do not populate code files with excessive comments. All right, I'm gonna hit that and hit enter. Now once you hit enter, you're gonna have select memory file to edit, either the user memory or the project memory. Now if you do the project memory, let's say you have a team working with you and all the people have access to the same repository, that's gonna affect the project. If you want it to just be for the user, you can use this user memory here. But if you want to affect the project, so if your team members, you know, fetch the code or pull the code off of the repo, they're gonna have whatever you set in here. Okay, so I'm just gonna put it over here and hit enter. Good. Now if we go back here, you're gonna see that we have it over here. Do not populate code files with excessive comments. I didn't add that manually, but you can literally add things manually. You can see, you can type over here and add things manually and save, and it's gonna be saved for you, so you're good. Over here, we're gonna use the compact. Hit compact, hit enter, and we're gonna see what we have. It says compacting conversation, and it's just literally gonna summarize everything. So instead of totally clearing the entire context frame, it's gonna compact compact it. That's the essence of the word, compact. So that's for that. And if we want to clear everything here, we'll just do / clear. Hit enter. Okay, so we've learned a couple of commands so far. In our next lesson, we are gonna be utilizing these to work on these projects. And then I'm gonna run the project and we're gonna begin modifying things and using Claude Code to work on this. See you there.